that y'all sang along. The middle schoolers were like this. They didn't do anything. So disappointed. So I played that for a few reasons. One, because I hear you, whoever said that. I think I know who said it. One, because I always wanted a walk-up song. Like, who in here plays baseball or a sport where you have a song? Adam raised his hand last time, and I said, "You don't play baseball," and I hurt his feelings. I'm sorry. No, I always wanted a walk-up song. I walk out and that song comes on, and so this was my only sport. So I thought I'm getting my preach on, so I would have a walk-up song tonight. Also, because the first words of that song are, get it? Because what's the name of the series? I know. Thanks, Matt Graham. Yeah. And the other reason is Auburn, War Eagle. Right, Olivia Kepper? No, sorry. Hey, awesome. I did not hear that real tight. I don't know where that came from, Beth Youngener. I am so excited to be with you tonight. Timer is on. I blew it last time, so we'll see how it goes this time. Am I on? Okay, cool. I'm stoked to be with you. I feel like I'm officially part of the team tonight because I'm finally up here. Yeah, thanks for being so receptive. That's so kind. But I'm really excited. A lot of you may not have spent. This Britney Spears mic killing me. Okay, hello. I'm gonna stick it in my lip. Can you hear me? I'm not really. Okay, so this is my first time up here. Usually I'm more behind the scenes. I do the small groups ministry, so if we haven't met, I'm gonna die. I hate this thing. Well, it's fun. You can hear me? Okay, cool. I think I'm just fidgeting because it's nervous, I'm standing in front of all you people. Yeah, so usually I'm behind the scenes hanging out with your awesome leaders. So if you haven't met me, I'd love for you to come up, introduce yourself, spend some time with me. But a lot of you I have gotten to know, and I really, really, really like you. So that's good. I thought I might tell you a little bit about me, since this is my first time up here, and that's just the only thing I really know how to talk about. So I'm going to start there. So I grew up in Alabama and Georgia. I went to high school in Georgia, came back, went to Auburn University for my undergrad. That's right. I'll say it again, War Eagle. And then I went to New York City and got my master's degree at New York University and came back to Alabama and started my career. And I was kind of always groomed to be in the counseling field. People always called out that gift in me. People always said, you're so good to talk to. Are any of you the mom of your group? You're the person who keeps everybody's secrets. Anybody? We had a lot in middle school. Yeah, if you see a few of you back there. I was always that person. I was always the problem solver. And so that came very naturally to me. And so people would always say, Lee, that's what you're meant to do. So what did I do with that? Hey, y'all, listen up. I said, okay, I'm going to go to school and be a counselor because that's really all anybody had ever told me that I could do, and I listened to other people. And so I went to school. I studied my tail off. NYU was a rigorous program, but an awesome one. I got an incredible, very expensive education and learned a lot, got licensed, finally got a job in my field after a lot of internships and work. And so everyone was like, you nailed it. You landed it. You landed your dream job. And the whole time I felt very that's not really true. In my heart, I was very discontent. Here I am with the thing I had always longed for and worked for, but yet it didn't feel right. And people were like, you found your niche, or niche. How do you say that? Niche. But I was like, no, I really haven't. In my heart, I was just this is not what I want to do. I feel like there's something deeper in me than counseling. And so I struggled and I wrestled a lot. And I was like, why do I feel so miserable at work all the time? I have a great job. And I started to realize that there was another longing in my heart, that I had kind of always listened to other people and what they said I'd be good at and not necessarily followed God's call for my life. And so I really started to realize after working a long time in youth ministry and lay ministry across different places in the church, that's where I was called. I felt most connected, most at home, most used by the Lord in that way. And so I decided that I was going to jump on the ministry track. I was going to try to find a job in ministry. So I got really excited until I realized I didn't really have any of the credentials to be in ministry. I hadn't gone to seminary. I had experience on a lay level, but no real experience to back that up. But I had this longing, and people were like, you are crazy. You've lost your mind. You have a great job, You've trained to do it. You've gone and gotten the schooling for it, the licensing for it. Why do you need, why are you so discontent? And I didn't know really how to answer that other than I felt something in my heart calling me to something else. And so I prayed and I wrestled. I drove home every day for almost 2 years and cried on the way home from work because I hated my job so much. And not necessarily what I did. It was an honor to be with people in the situations that they were in as their counselor and their therapist. But I just knew that wasn't what I was made to do. And this summer I was at Hinton, which who's going to Hinton in here? Woo! Gonna be so awesome. Yeah. Woo! Yeah, they're excited too, kind of back here. They're like, yeah. Gonna be so good. So I was sitting at Hinton at this, looking at this, actually, in this very rocking chair. I'm gonna kill it. I don't know what to do. Okay. So I was sitting in this rocking chair, overlooking Lake Chatouche after a long day of work. I was mad, like so mad. Because I'd been working with youth. I had taken my vacation days to work with the youth in our church. And I'd been with them and I knew like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm made to do. This is where I feel most at home, most used by the Lord. And I've got nothing. Like I put myself out there. I started meeting with youth pastors. Nothing was coming up. 2 years of waiting, going, I mean, God, I'm not signing up to be like in the mafia. Like I just want to be a youth pastor. Like that's not bad. Like where are you at? And I remember writing in my journal that day, I was so mad. And I was like, Lord, have you just forgotten about me? And that sounds so like pitiful, but that's truly how I felt. Like that sounds like, come on, Lee, you have an awesome job. Why are you complaining? But I knew I was meant for something more. And so I was angry and I wrote that and I was like, Lord, hello, I've fallen through the cracks. Like, remember me. Remember me. You put this in my heart. This isn't a bad desire. Fulfill it. And I felt this voice, not like felt this voice. That's weird. It was like came across like a breeze in my face. No, I like sensed the presence, the Holy Spirit's presence, I guess I should say, not an audible voice. I just felt this thing in my heart and I heard, you haven't even given it to me. You haven't even given it to me. So this thing that I'd wrestled and prayed over and longed for and been weary about, cried every day for 2 years on the way home from work. I hadn't even ever said, okay, Lord, this is yours. Like, if you want me to do this, like, I trust you. And for someone that's going into ministry, that probably should have been my first thought, right? It was not. And I was very humbled in that moment. But I will tell you, I've never, and I can honestly say, in all of my 28 years, I've never felt more peace than I did in that moment. Going, okay, God, yours. Like, you do it or you don't, it's yours. I'm giving that desire, that longing to you. And I'll stay as a hospice social worker and therapist as long as you want. I trust you to do what you put in my heart. And I don't want you to think I came to that place easily. There were lots of frustration and bad words and not feeling good about life. But I got there. And in the moments that followed that, I felt the Lord saying to me a word that a friend had recently shared before that. So I'm sitting in this rocking chair and I just kind of was mulling over the word tetelestai. Tetelestai, it's a Greek word meaning it is finished. It's finished. It's done. Completed. Already happening. And I felt like what the Lord was saying to me is, Lord, Lee, I know your desire. I put it in you. It's already done. Trust me. Trust me. And so I had such confidence and such peace in what the Lord was going to do in me. I've been reading in the Old Testament for class. I'm also in seminary, started that because I needed one more thing to do. So I started that about a week after I started at BUMC. So I should say also that the Lord, I'm not saying that I prayed this prayer and God gave me what I wanted, but a month from the day that I sat on this chair, I came to BUMC and started my job. I trust the Lord. I gave it to him and said, I'll go. When you say it's time, I will. And he brought it. I think there's power in surrender. I think in rising up, you have to give up. And that sounds counter to everything we've learned or everything we're taught. But to rise up, sometimes the first step is just saying, God, it's yours. This desire, this longing in my heart, all yours. So I've been reading, like I was starting to say, in 1 Samuel 1 through 20. We'll start at 10. Don't get up or run away or get more Skittles. I'm going to go through this quick. There's me moving to BUMC and all my boxes. And hey, Olivia, now those white chairs are here, huh? All right, cool. That's to tell us today. Awesome. Let's read this together. In her deep anguish, Hannah prayed to the Lord, weeping bitterly, and she made a vow, saying, Lord Almighty, if you will only look on your servant's misery and remember me, and not forget your servant, but give her a son, then I will give him to the Lord for all the days of his life, and no razor will ever be used on his head. As she kept praying to the Lord, Eli observed her mouth. Hannah was praying in her heart, and her lips were moving, but her voice was not heard. Eli thought she was drunk and said to her, how long are you going to stay drunk, girl? Put away your wine. Not so, my Lord, Hannah replied. I am a woman who is deeply troubled. I have not been drinking wine or beer. I was pouring out my soul to the Lord. Do not take your servant for a wicked woman. I've been praying here out of my great anguish and grief. Eli answered, go in peace. God of Israel grant you what you have asked of him. She said, may your servant find favor in your eyes. Then she went her way and ate something, and her face was no longer downcast. 2 points I want to make. I want to go back. She said, I'm not drunk. I'm just got this thing in my heart, and I might not be able to give words to it, but it's here, right? You ever had an idea or a dream so crazy, like people thought you were crazy? Ever wanted to do something, long for something that you can't even really put words to, but you know it's there? That was Hannah. People thought she was drunk. Second point, it says she gave it away. So she said, Lord, if you'll do this, if you'll remember me, remember my cry, Lord, have you forgotten me? Have you forgotten about me? She's saying, have you forgotten? If you'll remember me, I'll give my son to you and he'll serve you all of his days. There's power in saying, Lord, whatever this desire is in your heart, whatever it is, saying, God, I give it to you. Do with it what you will. I give it to you for the glory of your name. It says that she walked away. She went out and ate something, got a little Chick-fil-A, and her face was no longer downcast. And that's how I felt in that moment, sitting at Hinton on that rocking chair. Like, I was okay. All that longing and wrestling and waiting, and in that moment, it was like, okay, like, I've given it to the Lord. I can step back. And I feel that from the text that I'm reading, that her face was no longer downcast. She went and got something to eat and went on her way, trusting the Lord. I think that's powerful. I think there is beauty in surrender. And I wonder how many of us have dreams and longings and desires in us, given to us by God. Maybe something people have told you, you're meant to do this. But there's something deeper. God will show that to you. He is faithful to show that to you. There's nothing too big or too seemingly insignificant. There's something in you that you're made to do. And I think, if I think about all the people in this room, in this church, in this community, if we would give that desire back to God and say, it's yours. It's yours. You can have it. I think the first step to rising up is to give up. Not my will, Lord, but yours. I have some friends who super inspire me and encourage me. Two of my close friends from New York City when I was in grad school. They are a real, tangible, they have an amazing story, but they have risen up. And I want to share them with you tonight. Do you follow us on Instagram? Anybody in here? Been seeing the bus, the Barona bus? The Barona bus is here at BUMC tonight, and the drivers of that bus are also here. So can we give a BUMC welcome to Leah and Una, my friends, and Donald. Donald is also going to join them on stage. I'm going to talk to them kind of about what they're doing and how they've taken this thing that God's put in their hand. And it hasn't come overnight. I guess I was in New York City in 2009, 10, 11. So this is a dream long coming, way longer than that. They are wonderful, special people, dearest friends, but they're just like you and me. And I can tell you that because I knew them when they didn't drive a school bus across the country. But they're driving a school bus across the country, and they've done amazing things. So we're going to ask them some questions and see what they've done, how they've risen up. So you will need these, I guess, to answer. I'm going to have them introduce themselves, tell you who they are, where they're from, and we'll go from there. Want to go ahead?
Hi, my name is Leah Foster. First of all, thank you guys so much for having us and listening to us talk and coming to check out our school bus in a little bit. So I am an artist. I'm currently finishing my master's degree at the School of Visual Arts in New York City. So if any of you are interested in art and you want to talk about art school, we can talk. I'm from middle of nowhere, Texas, a really small town, basically a border town in Texas. Yeah, that's it. That's me.
Hi guys, my name is Una. I am a pediatrician. I am a critical care specialist, and what that means is I'm a children's ICU doctor, so I treat potentially dying children. I get to punch death in the face every day. And I live in Brooklyn, New York.
Hi, my name is Donald. I'm an actor and writer. I work in theater, film, and television, both back home in Botswana, where I'm from, in the U.S., and wherever else work comes up.
Yeah. So they have incredible stories, and we're going to kind of learn about how they've merged those three. So they're different people, clearly, art, medicine, acting, writing. So how their story has kind of come together. They've got a vision called Barona, and they're going to tell you about that vision now.
So Barona is a Setswana name, where Donald and I are from Botswana. Botswana is a small country of about 2 million people in southern Africa. And it's a Setswana name that means ours. The organization that we're starting is called Bana Barona, which means our children. So I grew up in Botswana. My parents grew up in rural Botswana with no electricity, no running water, no cars, no nothing. And the way that they raised us is sort of emerging of how they grew up, and, you know, regular life, car, private school, that kind of stuff. So whenever I was in the village to visit my grandparents, we would run around with no shoes, no shirts, and under the big African skies. It was the best experience that I can, I have been a part of. I loved growing up there. But what I always say is, if my life matters now as a pediatrician in New York City treating American children, then my life has to have mattered when I was a child growing up in Botswana in a village with no shoes, no running water. So if my life matters, then the lives of every child matters, right? If my life matters, then your life matters, right? And the point of Barona is to actually empower the children of Botswana because their life matters. That's what we're about.
How are you doing that with the kind of gifts the Lord's put in your hands? So you've got medicine. That's something you're using, a gift from the Lord, something the Lord's called you to. And you've got art. How did those meet?
So our tangible goal that we want to do is we want to build the first children's hospital in Botswana. And we want to do so by merging art and medicine together, because we believe that you have both a body and a soul. So if you're a sick child in the hospital, we don't want to just treat your sick body and then send you out on your way, because there's all this crazy stuff going on in your head. Maybe you're sad or you're angry. So we want to use art therapy, music therapy, animal therapy, garden therapy, all these different other things that we don't necessarily consider medicine. We want to use those side by side with actual medicine to treat our patients. So resident doctors and resident artists working side by side to take care of each child that comes into the hospital.
Powerful. Yeah. So Donald, I'll just go ahead and break the ice and tell. Donald's super important. Donald is an amazing guy. The dream of Barona and their organization started kind of here. And he's kind of joined that, and I think it's really powerful. He is in the top 40. He's say it, I can't say it. 40
most influential people under the age of 40 from the entire country of Botswana is sitting right there.
Yeah. Right? He's amazing. And they've been staying with me all week, and super most humble, quiet, gentle person. I'd be like, I am so important. And he's very quiet. But he's incredible. And one of the things is, I guess maybe to ask you is, being a person, and not only that, I mean, you've written plays, you've done big time stuff. Why ride the school bus with them across the country?
Thank you. And first of all, I think, when you hear a vision that Una has and Leah has, and they're working on it together, you you quickly realize that this is a brilliant brainchild that they've had. So to have the opportunity to be, in some small way, a part-time uncle to this brainchild is nothing short of an honor. So then beyond that, just as a person, I feel that sometimes for us to do the most helpful things to people around us is to go out of what we do, out of the acting that I do. That in some situations, I can't be an actor. I have to be someone on a school bus across the country to impact something. So it's that idea that you have to rise out of your field for us to rise up together as protectors of our communal dreams.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. I think it's really cool. That's spoken to me kind of most as we've talked this week, is that Donald just kind of jumped on board and was like, I'm here for the journey. And the power that exists in small groups, when you join people in your small group and say, I'm going to do this with you. I'm jumping on board. Whatever your desire, your dream, I'm behind you. I'm beside you. I think that's really, really powerful. Even if it's not something that you think you want to do. I mean, that's outside of kind of where your dreams are. But I think that that's really, really powerful.
Thank you.
Somebody says in the group, what can I do? I'm not going to buy a school bus. It seems a little big. Seems a little too big of a deal. What can I do? Like, that seems too much. What would you say to them?
So, I grew up with two grandmothers, right? But and I loved both of them very much. I'm going to speak about my mom's mom. My mom's mom fell out of a truck when she was a teenage girl, broke her back, became paralyzed from the waist down. No wheelchairs, no hospitals, no nothing. So got married, adopted 4 children, and cared for them and raised them. And one of those children was my mother. She would crawl into the fields every day, and she would literally till her own land and grow her own food. She would crawl into the jungle to get firewood, and she would crawl amongst the snakes, and she would come home and she would cook. Never a complaint. Raised 4 beautiful children. And that was her life. And if she hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here today. So the life of some child in New York City depended on my grandmother in rural Botswana. So a lot of times we don't think that the things that we do matter because they're little, right? But you don't know who your life is going to impact. And you cannot tell somebody's mother in New York City, right? So the child that I saved 2 weeks ago, that I saved, literally God saved them, I just am a tool, right? But the child that I was a part of their healing in, you can't tell that mother that my grandmother's actions were inconsequential because their child's life depended on my grandmother's actions. So whatever actions you guys take, it may be as simple as babysitting, as smiling, as giving offerings in church, as drawing a picture for a child who's sad at school, whatever it is, right? That has a much, much larger impact than you can imagine. And one of my favorite quotes is, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with 1 step. If you never make the step, the journey will not be complete because there won't be any 1,000 miles, right? So whatever God has given you now is what you use, right?
Yeah, that's really powerful. Yeah, thank you all so much. Can we give them a hand? You can stay up here. I think the beautiful thing about that is just what she said, that the journey of 1,000 miles, 1 step. And I would encourage you that maybe the first step is just to say, this dream, this school bus, this hospital seems real big, seems kind of out there. But give it to the Lord and watch what he will do. It says he will do more than we could ever ask for or imagine. And I believe that he will. And so that's where we're going to close tonight. You're going to have a chance right after this to go up to the bus. It's under the awning outside the narthex. You can go with your small group leaders. You're actually going to be able to leave your mark on the bus. You're able to get in, draw in the bus, leave quotes, leave your name. There's going to be some other activities that are really, really powerful that I don't have time to explain. But you will get there. them outside. So if you'll pray with me, you can head out. And I would encourage you to meet Leah and Una and talk with them. They are, I can tell you, they are very normal, very normal. And so, I don't know if you appreciate that or not, but they're normal. There's something in you. All right, let's pray.